many different places. What he has is a very exciting kind of interaction workshop with us this evening about presenting and all the different facets. So let's all give him our full attention and have it up for him. So thank you very much.
How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Great. Kind of real quick, I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to ask you guys some questions. What do you do for a living?
Real estate agent.
Real estate agent. How long have you been doing it?
8 years.
8 years? Good 8 years?
Almost 8 years. 7.5 years. Going on 8.
What's the biggest challenge you face, personally, in the real estate market?
Is right now just keeping going.
Keeping motivated?
You're right, motivated.
All right, so motivation is a factor for you?
Yeah, we've kind of been going through a burnout cycle
Okay.
just recently.
All right, I'm going to try to share some ideas with you today that will help you. What about you guys? What do you do for a living?
I do real estate investing and marketing.
Okay. Same? What about you?
I do IT consulting.
Okay.
I have an underwear company,
So you're in sales?
underwear manufacturing.
Manufacturing?
Housewife with a goal that I'm going to have $100 million by 55.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And ma'am, up on top?
Right, Asian, right.
Realtor and real estate investor in marketing.
Realtor and real estate investing
And marketing.
and marketing. Sir?
Nutritional consulting. Nutritional consulting.
Nutritional consultant. I like that. Okay, what about you in the back?
Well, I've been a real estate investor since 2000, but more recently in advertising.
Advertising.
Environmental consulting.
Environmental. Okay, so we got a kind of a large, wide gap of everybody. Okay? Really quick, a little bit about me. I'm going to share a little bit of background about me and about the company that I represent. My name is Daniel Williams, and I'm a national sales trainer. I help people become better in sales of what they do. Everybody in this room sells, no matter what you're doing. If you're like the gentleman up on top, nutritionist, he has to sell his products. If you're in real estate and you're investing, you've got to sell every step of the way. Manufacturing, same thing. The biggest misconception in sales is we think that things don't change in the marketplace. The market is changing every day. And you've been in real estate for a few years, so you know that the market changes. The one thing about us as humans is if we don't change with the time left us behind. So we have to constantly evolve. How many of us right now, by a show of hands, are reading self-improvement books every quarter? Okay. How many people are at least going to at least 3 or 4 live events to educate their mind per year? It's 1 a quarter. Great. What I'm going to do is everybody have a worksheet? Okay. I'm going to cover a few topics that I heard you guys talk about earlier. So everybody has this. Let's go through the worksheet. First side of the worksheet. Most successful salespeople master the following fundamentals. They're extremely what? What we call this is the top 20%. We have an 80-20 rule in sales. Is anybody familiar with the 80-20 rule? Yeah. 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. 20% of the people make 80% of the money. That's the key. There's always those top producers. We call them top producers. Every office has it, no matter if you're in real estate, mortgage, health, nutrition. Every industry has them. What separates them from the bottom 80? They're selling the same product in the same area to the same people that you guys do. So why is there only 20% that are top producers and everybody else is what we call the bottom of the barrel? Why is that?
Drive and skills.
Drive and skills. I've met a lot of people that have a lot of drive and they're broke. So it truly became, and I'm sure everybody in here has met people like that. So it's not truly the drive, it's more the skills and keeping up with times. So one of the reasons and one of the ways that people have that drive and that skill is goal. So let's write the word goal down. Okay? I'm going to ask everybody to be honest when I ask this question. How many of us have our goals written down? How far in advance do you have them written down?
5 years.
5 years? Do you have a 90-day goal?
Yes.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have a 90-day goal?
Yes.
You guys?
Yeah.
Okay. goals written down. One of the reasons why our business is so important in sales is we don't write them down, and that's kind of how we get off track or we get unfocused. And we use that word. We need to write them down. Next one down. You see a line that says goal. I want you guys to come up with a goal for the next 30 days. One of the tools about having great goals is having a starting date and an ending date. We got to have a time that we started and a time that we finish. The reason why we have to have a date that finishes it, so it's priority. Think about that. How many of us have thought about something, we wrote it down, and in our mind we said, well, we're going to get it done in 60 days. 60 days came about, and we said, well, we'll just push it back to the next 60. How many people are guilty? Because there wasn't an element for you guys to hurry up and do it. You guys ever discipline yourself when you don't do it? How many of us have children that we're claiming? Okay. What about when your child doesn't do something? Do you discipline the child? They don't hit their goals, what do? Think about it. What do we do? You have any children?
Mine are grown, but
When they were younger?
I raised them on a horse ranch, and we had ha-ha jobs.
Yeah.
If they did a half-baked job, then ha-ha, you got to go do it over again.
Right. But as adults, we don't kind of do that to ourselves, do we? So I want everybody to hold themselves accountable. Think of a goal for the next 30 days and mark it, your date, 30 days from today. Next one down, an action plan. In writing equals results. How many of us truly have a plan of action? Know what we're going to do and it's in writing. Or we just visualize it. If we don't have a plan in writing, we can't drive the car. How many of us love to take a vacation? How many of us love to drive? Even the people that don't like to drive, if you like to fly, what's the first thing that most people do? Go on the internet, search out the tickets, find the cheapest ticket. And I'm going to use that word, cheap. Then what we do is we map out what hotels we're going to stay at. You know that the average person spends more time planning a wedding than they do their life? A one-day event. They spend more time. How does that make sense to us? And everybody in here is an entrepreneur or claim to be an entrepreneur wanting to get what most people don't have. But if we don't have these simple things, we'll miss them. It's the little things in life that make the biggest difference. Write an action plan. If you don't know how to write an action plan, think of all the ideas that you want. Think of all the activities that you want to do. Write them down and customize it for yourself and your business and your personal life. Next one down, letter A, is attitude. How many of us every day wake up with a great attitude? Kind of hard? Okay. Why do you think we don't wake up with a good attitude? What do you think one of the main reasons why you don't? Yeah? One of the reasons why we don't wake up with a great attitude is because we don't go to bed with a great attitude. How many of us watch the news before we go to bed?
Never.
A couple people. How many of us watch the news when we get up?
Never.
You're going to bed negative, you're waking up negative. Is there anything positive on the news? No? So why watch it at night right before bed? One of the things I'm going to ask you to do, this is kind of difficult for a lot of people. Read something, watch something, or do something inspirational for 10 minutes right before you go to sleep. First 10 minutes when you wake up, read something, watch something, or do something inspirational.
I just have to reinforce that. Last night I was reading something that had to do with The Secret, and it's kind of like The Secret Behind the Secret.
Yes.
And I woke up this morning after less than 4 hours sleep, full of energy. I've had an absolutely incredibly awesome day, and I felt almost euphoric all day long, just happy to be in Austin, having an awesome, awesome day.
And you have to have
And I
it.
set that intention last night in my reading.
You have to have it. I'm going to recommend a book. I normally don't do this. I'm going to recommend a book that's kind of dear and near to me. How many people have read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? If you haven't read it in the last 90 days, reread it. It will keep you energized and focused.
And that's,
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. They have a new version out. It's about a year old. If you can't, pick up the new version. Attitude is key. You see on your worksheet 1 through 10, I want you to rate yourself where you feel you are on attitude every single day. Letter B stands for basic skills. We have to have basic skills in sales to succeed. Mark yourself 1 through 10, where you feel you are with your skill set. Number 1 down, prospecting. That word prospecting means going out and finding business we don't have. How many people love to go out and prospect? For realtors, it's a thing. We have to do it. Do you like to do it?
Well, it depends on what mood I'm in.
Depends on what mood you're in.
Right.
What about you?
I do.
You do enjoy it? What's the biggest reasons why we don't do it? What do you think?
Your attitude.
Rejection.
Rejection. The fear of rejection is the number 1 reason why we stop doing something. How many people over here are getting rejected when they go out and prospect, try to find new business? Okay. I'm going to share with you. Do you take it personally?
Nope.
No?
No.
Why do you think they're rejecting you?
You're not rejecting me.
Okay. There's about 126 words in the English language that we're using that will either help or hurt a transaction. You're probably using some of those that are what we call stop. And the words that you're using will stop somebody from moving forward. Do people buy off emotions? Or
Yes.
do people buy off of logic?
Emotion.
Emotions. So when you meet somebody for the first time, how emotional are you? Or are you just in the groove of just meeting them, getting their name, getting their business card, and moving to the next person? You have to create that emotional attachment. And I'm going to share with you a few words in a little bit how we do that. Prospecting. Mark yourself 1 through 10. If you feel you're a prospecting machine, 10, 12 people a day that you're talking to, that you don't have in your database right now, then you're probably a prospecting machine. If you're prospecting 1 person or less than 1 per day, then you know what numbers you need to be at. Okay? Kind of rate yourself 1 through 10. Be honest. Number 2, original contact or first impression. How many people think a first impression is the most memorable? You get 1 chance to make a first impression. What are you guys doing different than anybody else to make a great first impression? Think about it. What do you guys do different than anybody else when you meet somebody face to face? Smile. Everybody can smile. I smile. What else? You guys have business cards? Okay, you have business cards. My business cards, they're just everyday business cards, front, back, no different than yours. They got my logo, they got my name, address, all these kind of things. Typical business card. Out of 100 business cards, how many do you think is the national average that are kept? Out of 100 that you give out?
1 or 2. 1 or 2.
What do you think?
Yeah, about that 1 or 2.
I'd say 10%.
It's 5. So if it's only 5, what happens to the other 95? They're thrown away, correct? How many of us are guilty of picking up a business card and throwing it away?
I never throw them away.
Never?
I got a box this full.
Right.
And they're going in the...
Right.
Neat
They
receipts.
keep going into the box.
No, they go in their neat receipts now.
Right.
I got a neat receipt.
Let me ask you this. I had a client back in Philadelphia 4.5 years ago almost. And she said, I've kept every business card I've ever had. I said, great, where are they? She says, I got them in my desk. I got a big box. I said, are you kidding me? She's like, no, I can prove it. So she ran to her office, pulled out this big box. It was a big beer box. She just kept all her business cards. I said, what'd you do? Why do you keep them all? She's like, I don't know. I've been in real estate for 30 years. And I was told to keep every business card, so I just keep putting them in the box. And I said, well, what good are they? And she's like, well, they're no good, but that's what I was told to do, was just put them in the box. I said, okay. I'm going to give you a technique right now that will separate your 5% from anybody else's. As I shared with you, people like people from the get-go. The top 3 reasons why people do business with us, do we know what they are?
They like you.
They like you, they trust you, and they find that you're an industry expert in your field from the get-go. I'm going to give you 2 business cards. Look at it each, 2 to 3 seconds, because that's normally the time that you have to make a first impression. Tell me which one you would keep.
The The one with the thank you,
Why would you keep that?
because someone like more personal to me. It's not an indicator that can remind me that I'm giving that business card.
One of the techniques that I do is I write thank you on my business card. I don't have them pre-done. I don't have a pocket full of them. But why is that so important?
Because I remember the first second it took you to where the thank you
Okay.
for the business.
People do business with people that are more personable. So here's the technique. If you write thank you on your business card as you're handing it to them, what do you think happens to them mentally? They want to know why. They want to know why you wrote it, correct? And as they're asking you why, what happens to them? Does anybody know? What do you think? They want to know more about your product. They're asking you, tell me.
They're more open.
They're inviting you into their world instead of you as a salesperson becoming pushy and pushing your product or your service on them. Now they're like, tell me more. A simple, simple thing that we don't do every single day. Think about that. There's a lot of techniques that I'm going to share with you.
Say it again, what you, the technique is.
They're going to invite you into their world.
Right.
Okay? Most salespeople become pushy. They want to push the product, they want to push the service, you've got to do business with me, here's my card, call me later, blah, 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 blah. And that's what it becomes, is blah, 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 blah.
Right.
This way, when you write thank you on it, they're looking at your card. Most of the time, most people would say, why did you say thank you? Or why did you give me a thank you? And then they're opening up that door of communication for you. Okay? Mark yourself 1 through 10 where you feel you are at first impressions. Next one down, let's talk about qualified. Let's talk about qualified. How many of us can qualify our clients right now before we ask anything about money, credit, or finance? Because as real estate investors, you need to qualify. People ask you to be qualified. What's the first thing that we hate? People say, how much money do you have? We're in a service business. We want to service our clients. We don't want to ask what their portfolio looks like, how much money they have in the bank, what the check's going to be today. We're service oriented. So right next to qualifying, I want you to write this word, N-E-E-D-S. Ask your clients, what do they have now? What type of product or service do they have? Do you believe that people that buy products right now will buy products that are similar? So we're finding out what their traits are. You're in the nutrition supplement. I love protein shakes. I love protein shakes with egg and not whey. So if you knew that, would you share with me a whey product? No. But if you assume you're going to make a big mistake. Okay? So you never want to assume. E stands for enjoy. The first E stands for enjoy. Ask your client what do they enjoy about the product or service that you have. And then ask them what do they enjoy about the product or service that they have. People are kind of odd. They like to buy products that are familiar with them. They like to buy certain things that are familiar. So if you have a product or a service that's somewhat familiar, but you're going to change or alter it some way or form or fashion, we want to find out what is similar because it makes them comfortable. Make sense? The other E stands for enjoy. Enjoy the product. What do they enjoy about it? What do they need? D stands for decision maker. How many of us have ever tried to close a transaction only to hear,
Gotta talk to the spouse.
got to talk to the spouse? Whose fault is that if that happens? Us as the salespeople. Don't allow that to happen. I'll give you a few formulas and a few ways to overcome this. There's a simple way to do it that works 100% of the time. Who besides yourself is going to help you make this financial decision today? A lot of people don't want to emphasize today. I emphasize today. How many people want to make a sale today? How many people just want to wait till next week? Exactly. There's 126 words that we should be using. S stands for solutions. We have the solutions for people's needs. How many people use that word in their presentation? Solutions. Do you? When you're using your product or demonstrating your product, you need to integrate that into your presentation. And that's the next one down. Go ahead.
Question. One E is enjoy, and what's the other E?
E is enjoy. The second E is I'm going to give to you later. We're going to miss that one and we're going to go down. Okay? Next one down is presentation. I got to leave something to the imagination. Okay?
Well, I heard you say both E's is enjoy.
That's okay. I'm going to cover that. The next one down is presentation. How many people in here feel they give a great presentation? That's flawless. Do you? You're in real estate. Do you think you give a good presentation?
Good, but not flawless.
Good, but not flawless. What about you, sir?
Yes, but I see now I need to.
Kind of change a couple things?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you, you guys, because you're in real estate and you guys show people homes. Do you guys show people homes? Right? You show homes?
Yes.
Anybody else in here, you guys are investing, you don't show homes yet, but you will. What about you? You show homes?
Used to.
Yeah? Yeah? Raise your hand for everybody that likes to be shown what to do. But you're all showing everybody, aren't you? Think about that word. Have you ever looked at a client and said, let me show you this house I got? The room's kind of quiet because we're all guilty of it, aren't we? You guys want to be shown what to do? Your kids don't like to be told what to do. Your kids don't want to be shown what to do. So why are you showing clients?
I tend to say, this meets your criteria.
No. Right, so we're going to change some words. Let me share with you the home and the features that this home has to offer for you and your family today. Now, think about that. How many more people are open to the share than the show? Don't tell your clients anything. Share with them. A couple different words. When you're dealing with people that are buying, most likely they have a boss, and it's not themselves. And they're told what to do. They're shown what to do. And when you're doing that because they're spending their money with you, they don't like that.
That's true.
Does that kind of make sense?
That's true.
Okay? Say that again.
We need to share.
You're going to share with your client.
That's what we do. We don't say it's show.
I don't like to use that word. I like to use the word share.
That's what we do. Share.
And you always want to share with your clients. You always want to have an open discussion.
That's right. That's what
Okay? When you're sitting at the bargaining table and they want to negotiate, let's open up the lines of communication. How can we share this? How can we make this better for you? And there's a lot of words, and I'll share those with you in a little bit. So presentation, there's 126 words, and it has to be emotion. People buy off emotions or logic? Emotions. How do we get emotionally excited? Use words that create that emotion. How many of us remember reading to the children our children when they were younger? Yeah? You guys in the back, did you ever read to your kids?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you think you're a good storyteller?
Yes.
And you have to be, don't you? You have to create that imagination. Sometimes as adults, we stop doing that in our field. Especially real estate people. And I don't like to pick on real estate people. Sometimes they get into the habit of just going through and showing a home. And sometimes they stop creating that emotion. So we have to create that emotion, especially investing. If you guys are investing, there's words to use that will create that excitement for somebody. Okay? So that's part of your presentation. Mark 1 through 10 where you feel you are. Next one down, underneath presentation. And this is part of the sales cycle. So if you look at it, we're talking about attitude. You've got to have a great attitude every day. We're talking about some skills we got to have. We're talking the first step in the sales process is going out and finding people to do business with. So that's prospecting. And then we're going to find out some of their needs. We're going to make a first impression. We're going to qualify them. We're going to do presentations. What's the natural thing that comes next? When you do a presentation for you, when you're showing your product to your client, what's the next thing that happens? They're going to say they need to think about it, cost too much, We're just shopping. We're not sure today. These are what we call objections. So I want you to write the word objections down. How many people face objections every day? Okay. What's the most common one for you? I need to think about it?
Yeah, I'm gonna check with my spouse, give me some time.
Yeah.
Usually
about
it's the
you?
cost, usually it's the money.
I don't
Okay.
have the money.
What about you? I need to think about it?
Money.
Money? How do you find that out? So they just come out and say it's money? Or they say we need to think about it?
Yeah.
They need to think about it? Okay.
Well, but sometimes they'll just straight out tell you,
Okay.
you know. They say, I'd buy it, but I can't afford that right now.
I'd like to, but I can't. Okay. If that happens, whose fault is it?
Well, I'm sure you're going to say mine.
Well, right, because I love it when people when they take responsibility. But if you're showing a piece of property to somebody, and I'm using that word show, if you're doing that presentation, showing them, going through those steps, and they can't afford it,
Oh, I would do that. As
You
a
would do
realtor,
that?
I'm thinking on my marketing stuff.
on your marketing.
In my marketing stuff,
Okay.
money can be an issue for some people.
Of course it is.
And so my answer is, we'll show you how to find it.
Okay.
We'll
What
show
about
how
you,
to
sir?
find it.
What's the most common objection you face? People say they need to think?
Yeah, and I try to, pre-qualify him and especially on, I do a lot of leasing and, I had a guy who we scheduled an appointment. I just called that next day to say that I always do this because I don't want to get stood up or whatever. Then I'm on my way and, and he suddenly did a fountain, he said he needed a place quick.
Right.
And, well, he started, doing all the stuttering, and of course I knew he must have found something or, something else intrigued him But I hear the objections people do where nothing's right about every new property I show them. They always come up with
Something.
arguments not to lease, and, yet I'm in the price range, the area, showing properties that should meet your criteria.
Okay. You're probably using words that aren't moving them forward.
Right.
You're probably using words that are hesitating or giving them an option to think about something that they shouldn't think about. I'm not saying that investing in a house isn't a big decision at all, but the words that we can use to move them, okay? Whether we're going to move them in which direction is the words that you use, that's up to you, okay? I think the biggest objection that most people face when we're talking about objections are people that say, I need to think about it. And when that happens, what are they thinking about? How many people already know what they're thinking about? Most people think about money. Nothing else. How many people assume it's too much money? Never assume, because when you assume you make a...
Ask that, you and me.
Just you, because I found another agent. Okay? So you never want to assume. How do we overcome that? How do we combat that?
You really should try to answer objections up front.
Okay. You think you're good at that?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the questions that you had for the speaker before me is, where do I find investors? And he made the comment, well, you should find them, an uncle, do this. We call it warm market, cold market. There's a bunch of lead sources. If I could put you in a room with 3 or 4, maybe 500 people, would you enjoy that?
I think we'll work with that.
Okay. Come down here. Robert, correct?
Si, senor.
All right. What I'm going to do is we're going to do a little demonstration. You okay with that?
Yes.
All right. The group is going to judge him. Okay? So you got a nice group? They like you?
Hope so.
They bet? Okay? Now, you guys are going to judge him, and you're going to be honest to him. You're going to be fair to him.
Are you talking about language, right?
We're talking about language.
I wouldn't
We're gonna-
evaluate it.
Well, we'll see what he's going to do with this. Okay, so the objection. If he gets it right, I'm going to send him to my program, my seminar, on me. Okay?
That means
Oh.
you're going to miss it then.
Say that again?
That means you're going to miss it then.
No, look, it's up to you.
Okay,
It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay? your product or service, and I say, I need to think about it, what would you say right then and there? This happens every day, correct? People say they need to think about it? Okay. Go ahead.
You might ask one direct question. What would cause you to make a purchase today?
What would cause me to make a purchase today? Nothing.
What would bring you to a point of making a purchase today?
Nothing. I'm just thinking about it today.
Is
You can
price-
understand
is
it's a
price
big
too
decision.
much?
Is the price too much?
Is price too much?
It's just a big decision. You can agree with me it's a big decision, can't you?
Mhm.
Right? And it's something that I should give careful consideration. You would agree that this is something I should consider, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about the big decision.
Well, how many people here believe that he just told me to go home and think about it?
Yes, that's what he did.
Right. So you told me it was a big decision.
Mhm.
Buying your product a big decision?
No.
Say no.
No.
No. You know why? Because you believe in your product. You stand behind your product.
Gotcha.
It's not a big decision. But I used what we call a yes or a no on it. Okay? Tie down alternative choice. I used yes or no for you. You should have used yes or no for me. Now you tell me you need to think about it. Tell me you need to think about it.
I need to think about it.
It's a big decision for you and your family to move forward today, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes. And I understand that you give a lot of decisions that you make careful consideration,
Yes.
and I'm glad that you do. A lot of my clients do the same thing. They think about it. Can I ask you a few quick questions before I go?
Sure.
Okay. I'm getting yes or no's here. That's what I want. B, what we call the ridiculous factor. Is it me that you need to think about? No. Great. Wow. I'm really on it. Is it my product or service that you need to think about?
Right.
It is my product or service?
Yeah.
Yes. What about the areas that I shared with you today about the product or service that you do need to think about?
Need to consider those also. I need to consider those also.
You need to consider which part of the phase, A, B, or C.
Which A, B, or C? Sorry.
Your phase. If we're talking about real estate, if we're talking about your product, it doesn't matter. Just pick something, A, or C. C. C? Which particular thing about C is it? Is it number one or number two?
Number one.
Number one. So if I recover number one right here, how many people think that he will stop thinking about it because now I've answered his concerns? Okay? So let's just pretend that it's not me and it's not the product. Let's say I did a great demonstration. You have no thinking about the product. You love it. You want to move forward. But, so is it me? No. Is it the product? No. Could it be the money?
Yes.
Okay. Don't assume right here. Is it too much or not enough for you and your family? Would you like a little bit more of a product or a little bit less?
I would like the product.
All right, great. How many people right here would just assume it's too much? Don't assume. Ask, because now you're going to get the answer if it is too much or if it isn't too much. Recently, I was searching for a house. Have a seat real quick. Recently, I was searching for a house. And the real estate broker and agent asked me, what are my needs? What do I want? What makes me happy? What makes my wife happy? All these things. And they shared a house with us. And I said, I need to think about it. And my wife kind of looked at me and she kind of giggled because she knows what's going to happen next. And the real estate says, well, the real estate agent says, well, what is it that you need to think about? You told me this is the size of the house you were looking for. This is the features that you wanted. What is it about the house? And I said, well, it's the money. And the first thing that came out of their mouth was, well, I can show you something cheaper. You're assuming I can't afford it. Instead of me just writing a check for the house, which we could have, it wasn't exactly what we wanted. And for them to ask that price, I couldn't justify it to me. It was that price. It wasn't the product. And they assumed. So what did we end up doing? We ended up finding another real estate agent that actually listened to our needs. Don't assume. Kind of make sense? Okay. So when you're dealing with your clients and you're discussing this, ask them questions, yes, no, and be able to create that forum. And if you don't know how to do it, I can share with you how to create that forum to where we call them tie-downs and inverted questions. If you can master this, your clients will actually buy more products from you and you'll spend less time with each client. How many of us feel right now that we're spending a lot of time with our clients and not getting exactly the rewards that we want? If we can shave, trim, keep 20, 30% of that time back to ourselves, would we be happier? Okay? How many of us would find another client to work with? How many of us would take time off to spend with the kids or the family or vacation, whatever the case may be? See, there's all personal reasons why we want to shave the time off. I'm not saying that you're going to shave the quality of service. You're just going to shave the time. A lot of the things that we're doing in our presentation, the words that we're using, makes people think. We don't want to do that. We want them to make a decision. If they're thinking about a product, because 97% of consumers right now will do an internet search on the product, and they'll already gather the information before they talk to you. How many people right now have bought a car in the last 3 or 4 years? How many of us went on the internet to look? So we've already done our research. We have a choice, A, B, or C when we walk into the dealership. We're really looking for 1 or 2 things. We don't have to do the research anymore. We've already done it.
Now it's the next question. How many bought it on the internet sight unseen?
I'm one.
I did too.
And I'll tell you this much. 3.5 years ago, my wife and I, we were newlyweds. My wife looked at me, and I was in Chicago doing a program just like this one here in Austin. And she says, I want a new car. And I said, well, what kind do you want? She kind of shared with me the car that she was looking for. I said, well, I just worked with an auto dealership today. That's the make and models that they have. Let me go talk to them. It happened to be that she was in Portland, Oregon. And I sent her on the internet. I said, do you like this car? She says, yes. And I says, do you want it? She says, well, how much? And I said, well, we'll worry about the numbers later. If you like the car, we'll move forward. She said, I like the car. 5 days later, it was on a truck to Portland, Oregon. Sight unseen. We still have that vehicle. She loves it. She loves it. Recently, I was up in Vancouver, British Columbia, doing a program. And I do my programs all over the world. Up in Vancouver, and I called my wife and I said, you know what, I need a different vehicle. She says, what do you want? And I says, I don't know. I'm looking on the internet for a place in Arizona to be able to buy a vehicle, because that's where we live. And I found a vehicle right on the internet. I called the dealership up. I said, I like this vehicle. What is it going to take for me to get into it today? Well, you got to come down. We got to see you. We got to do all this. I said, well, can't I just send you some paperwork and be done with it today? They're like, yes. 3 days later, my wife went and picked up the car. People buy on the internet. Okay? They get a lot of their research done on the internet. Don't be afraid. Make sense? Let's move on to the next one. Underneath objections, let's write the word closings. Next to closings, I want you to write the number 6, the number 2, and the number 14. These numbers are very important. The average person that you're sharing your product with will tell you no 6 different ways in your process. They're not going to just come out and say, yes, I want it. They're going to say, no, we need to think about it. We're not sure. We're searching. All of these things that they're going to share with you are stoppers. The average salesperson has 2 ways to overcome this in a close. The average close for a salesperson is very, very poor. And I'm going to share with you what the most common closes are. They pray that the client buys. They go like this, I hope, I hope, I hope, I hope. How many of us are guilty of saying, oh my God, I just hope they just move forward? Anybody ever guilty of just praying like this, and I hope, I hope, I hope? Okay. That's not a close. That's a prayer. Okay? The other close is they go like this and they shove the paperwork or the agreement or the contract or whatever and say, so what do you think? How many of us have ever done that? That's not a close. That's a prayer too. Because you hope that they like what you put down on the paper. If you feel that those are your closes, they don't work too often, do they? No. I'm not saying God doesn't love you, but we got to have some skills. So 14 different closes I give to you verbatim to be able to close your clients, to move them from one place to another. Are you going to master all 14? Probably not. But if you master 1 or 2 more than what you have right now, just 2, are you going to close twice as many people as you're doing right now? For you in real estate in the Austin market, about $5,000 to $7,000 average commission on a house. If you close 2 more this year than what you did last year, You just increased your salary by $14,000. Not working any harder, just working different. Same for you, about 5,000 to 7,000. Your commission's probably a little bit different, but you're talking to more people. So to relate, what do you think a close is worth? Financially, dollar-wise, what do you think a close is worth?
Well, my things are a little bit different. A couple $100 probably.
Every single time, a couple $100. See, here's the key. If you really watch your clients and you listen to your clients, they're giving you the same objection client to client to client. Different day, different client. Same objection. Think about that. Clients today say they need to think about it. You've been in real estate for a few years. You've been in real estate for a few years. When you first started, they said they needed to think about it. Today, they still say the same thing. It's how we handle the objection and go into the close that's different today than you could have used 8, 9 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago. I come from Arizona. I spent a lot of time in Arizona and California. Do you think the market's different there than it is here?
Guarantee it, yes.
A lot different. 5 years ago, you know what the close was? For the average real estate agent, 5 years ago, you know what the close was in California?
Sign here.
Sign here because it'll be gone in 30, 60, 90 minutes. It's gone. It's like this. The refi business in Arizona, 3.5, 4 years ago. If you don't, you know what? We're going to pick up the phone. This is the rate. Yes or no? No, no, yes, yes. That's their close. Can they do that today? No. They actually got to have skills. Imagine that. Somebody in sales got to be professional. Okay? We're going to give you the 14. If you don't master them, it's okay. I give you them in a book. Learn them, memorize them, seek them out. Okay? Next one down. As we're going through, I want you to mark where you feel you are all the way down on your worksheets. Go ahead and do that. Next one down is self-development. This is the big one. Next to self-development, I want you to write these numbers down. 4-4-4, the number 4,000. It's okay. 4,000. I want everybody to be honest with me and raise their hand. How many of us are reading 4 self-help books a year? How many of us are listening to 4 audio programs in the car or on their iPod or on a computer a year? If you're not, you should be. You're not, are you? How come? Didn't think about it?
Don't know which ones to listen to.
Okay.
I'll help you out.
What about you? Are you listening to 4 audio programs in your car?
I do the reading. No, I don't care for the audio.
iPods are great. They hold a lot of music, but they hold a lot of books too. They hold a lot of inspirational things. For you, motivation is a key factor. You kind of shared it with me earlier. What are you doing to keep yourself motivated?
Well, I moved your sheets.
Okay.
Is it, is that the title? I moved your sheets. What is it? Yeah, and that was kind of.
Do the books. Do the audio programs.
You listen to
Okay.
stuff too.
How many people are going to at least 4 live sales events a year? If you're not, you need to be, and I'll share with you why. Everybody raise your right hand and repeat after me. Everybody. I promise. Never to take advice from somebody more messed up than me. Isn't it funny how we have people in our lives telling us what to do, how to do it, and they're not doing it themselves? Don't listen to these people. Please don't listen to these people. If you're around 3 or 4 or 500 other like-minded individuals, what do you think happens to you? You go up. People love to network and recruit, but we want to network and recruit with people and grab business from people that are doing just a little bit better than we are. We don't want the people down here if we're not here yet. Does that kind of make sense? We always want to attract up. It's a funny thing how everybody here wants to be a little bit better. We always attract up. We never want to attract down. But what tends to happen is when we're attracting up, what happens to that person that you attracted? They go to the next level, and next level, and next level. And we keep moving up. It's a process. You're going to attract up. 4 books a year, 4 audio programs, 4 live sales events. And you should be spending about $4,000 a year on your mind. The reason why it's 4,000, if you just divide it, that's $1,000 a quarter. It's about $300 a month. Think about that. How many people in here right now, if they looked at it and said $300 a month, that's not a whole lot. It only takes me one transaction to recoup it. A couple transactions for some people, but it's less than a transaction. Do those things. Do you think they will hurt you in business? Getting smarter. They don't hurt.
T. Harv Eker in his Secrets of the Millionaire Mind has his jars, and 10% for education. I typically overspend mine by at least 50-60%.
Yes and no.
It's probably not good, but you know, the 10% is a good target.
Yes, that is true. That is true. I share with everybody that you should be going, and one of the reasons why you should be going is picking up one idea from somebody. If you guys pick up just one idea, how many people have picked up something from me today? So you invested your time with me. If you went to a program that I present and there's 300 or 400 other like-minded individuals like you, do you think you could pick up one or two things from me that would increase your business or your self-esteem or your confidence or your motivation factor? What is that truly worth to you? Knowing that you can wake up every day and be motivated to do business. That's priceless.
Yeah.
It's priceless. You can't put a tag to that. Okay? So I really want you guys to do the self-development. Okay? Flip over your worksheets real quick. And on the top side of your worksheet it says, I am. And I want you to put the word committed. I want you to be committed to yourself, to making your future better today. How many people in here are committed to making their future better today? Making a change for the positive? I appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you. Fill out your forms. I have your passes to go. And I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, too.
Thank you.
Well, we have the room till much later. That doesn't mean nobody has to stay. Again, feel free to chat with anybody who's in the room if you like. We're going to start breaking down and getting out of here. Thank you again, Ian, for your presentation. And thank you again, Amy, for yours.
Thank you.
And did you have a... Okay, we passed out everything.
Yeah, we passed out everything, and I'll just wait for everybody to just fill them out and bring them up. And thank you.
Well, that's it. All right, thank you for showing
Appreciate
up,
it.
all of you.
Thank you, guys.